You know how Mondays are hard? Well, this week I feel like I've literally had 4 Mondays. Every day has been just like, ugh, God, like at the end of the day, for the past 4 days, I've just been like, oh my gosh, Calgon, take me away. Gentlemen, welcome back to the Tiege Hanley. Do you guys remember that Calgon, take me away, or am I dating myself? Gentlemen, welcome back. The Tiege Hanley, starting a business, building a brand vlog. This one, big number 240. What? 6, exactly. And I have had one hell of a week. It's just been a hard week. You know how some weeks, it's just like, it's just been a week. It seems like one thing after another, one fire after another, one problem after another. And I'm tired. I am tired. I'm so tired. And here's something that that I did last night that I don't normally do. I had such a crappy day yesterday that I went home and I'm like, I need a drink. And I get it, right? I went and I poured myself a bourbon on ice. It is one of my drinks that I enjoy, right? A bourbon. The bourbon that I was drinking is a bourbon called Eagle Rare. For you guys out there that are bourbon drinkers, Eagle Rare is probably my favorite. Anyway, I get home, my wife was in bed, and my routine now has sort of changed a little bit. I come to the office, I work all day, I get home around like 5:30 or 6. I typically then will go down into my basement. I've got a little home gym, thankfully, and I'll work out for about 35, 40 minutes, and then I pop on my earphones and I go for a walk. And I'll walk typically to the building that I'm renovating. I'll go just to see what the progress is. And there's something for me about just walking, being outside, and just having like music on and just sort of unwinding. This is a way that I have learned that it really helps me. It helps me emotionally to sort of just like decompress. So I'll go for about an hour walk. I'll come home, I'll get a shower, I'll make myself dinner, and then I will sit and work. Typically, I'm going to be editing until like 9, 10, sometimes 11 o'clock at night. Anyway, last night I decided, you know what? I need a drink. I wanted a drink. And so I typically do not drink during the week. I'll have like a glass of wine on Friday night, possibly on Saturday night. Typically, it's like 1 glass of wine, or if I'm going out and I'm feeling frisky, I might have 2. Haven't been going out, and so it's been less. Anyway, last night, I got it. All of a sudden, like, I understood. I'm like, now I understand why people have drinks at the end of a long day to unwind. It really helped, honestly. I felt more relaxed. I was like, all right, I'm going to actually shut my computer down. This all can wait tomorrow, or till tomorrow. And I put my computer away at like 8:30 or 9 o'clock, and I just hung out and watched a documentary. And it was lovely. It was a lovely evening, and I definitely needed it. But then today, back at it, everything's going well. I filmed my video like super early in the morning, and then everything started to collapse around me, and I had another Monday. Gentlemen, I am so glad to be here with you talking about you, because what I'm going to do now is get to some of your business questions. There was one from last vlog and then a few from the vlog before. Seriously though, it's just been one of those weeks, and I think it's kind of like everything just like weighing on me. Like this whole like quarantine home thing, and everybody like, businesses going out of business, and just, it's been hard. It's been hard to watch. It's been hard to be a part of, and I miss people, honestly. I miss hugging my mom. I miss, just going to dinner and not thinking about it and being all weird if somebody gets, within 6 feet of me. Anyway, you know exactly what I'm talking about. I'm explaining it to you. Anyway, the first business question comes from our friend Gary Hernandez Self-defense Urban Survival. He says, Aaron, my question is, when you first started doing promotions for companies, did you start off by getting the free products instead of cash payments? And if so, when did you know the time was right to make the decision for cash payments? Because I am sure the companies know it's cheaper for a company just to give you free stuff to promote as opposed to cash payments. So yes, when I first started doing promotions, literally the first promotion that I did was for my friend Paul. He was in the UK, and he had like an online store called like Brighter Man. And what he sold was like men's accessories. And so he saw that I was doing YouTube videos, and so he reached out. He's like, hey, I've got this company. I do, I sell, things like scarves and bracelets and watches and wallets and things of that nature. Would you be interested in, if I sent you some product, would you talk about it? And I was like, hell yeah. You want to send me free product? This is amazing. Mind you, this was back in like 2009. And so it was very early on in my YouTube career. So he sent me this purple scarf. I remember it. It was like the first thing I ever promoted. It was the purple scarf. And I'm like, oh, how to accessorize with the scarf, right? And apparently he is a good friend of mine now. He helps me out. He works for Enemy, and he also works for me and helps me with like Instagram and stuff like that. Anyway, long story short, he's like, yo, this worked like crazy. I apparently ended up sending him a ton of business, and he sold out of these like kind of ugly like purple scarves. And then he sent me another stuff, and I promoted it a little bit more, and it was fun, right? It was like, oh my God, somebody's actually sending me free stuff. Fast forward about a year, and then the quantity of free stuff started to increase, right? I started to get more stuff, and then it was something where it's like, I can't talk about all this free stuff. Then came my official first sponsor, and it was a company called Blank Label, and it was a shirt company. And the way that it worked, you plugged in your measurements. It was early days of online made-to-measure clothing. And this guy, Fan B, I remember his name. Fan B reached out. He's like, hey, would you like a shirt? I'm like, yeah, sure. And so I got the shirt, and he's like, would you like to do like an Alpha M collection? And I'm like, yeah, this sounds awesome. And he's like, what we'll also do is pay you a few $100s, I think a month, if you would put like our label or logo on the front of your videos, front and back of your videos, and link to us down below. I'm like, hell yeah, let's do this. And that was my first payment. And I was so excited to actually get money. And I believe it literally was $200 a month. You know, in terms of when it's time to sort of flip that switch and start charging, it's really up to you. It's up to, what you feel is right and what you feel is the right time. Personally, yes, you're absolutely right. It is a lot cheaper for a company to be like, here you go, would you like to have some free product? Get the free product and talk about it. The problem is that there are, there aren't many influencers or people in this space that are doing things for free product anymore. There are some micro influencers and stuff, but the problem is that all of these people that have, large channels or even small channels are getting offers to do promotions for money. At this point, the game has changed. It used to be where you could send people free products, and oftentimes they would talk about it, they would mention. But now the times have definitely changed. Even small micro influencers or people that have a very small following, they're getting offers for money. And so trying to get them to actually promote things just for a free product, it's not happening as much as it used to. Now, that being said, there are some smaller channels that just want to talk about products. They want free products, and so they will actually reach out to Tiege Hanley, Pete and Pedro, Enemy, and say, hey, I've got this channel. I'd love to promote your products. Would you be interested? Now, the reason why this is a good idea, if you guys are new and you're starting off and you have a channel and you're trying to grow it, reach out to a brand that you love and say, hey, if you send me the product, I'd love to talk about it, right? Oftentimes what they'll do is they will give you an affiliate link where if you sell product, you're going to actually get a commission. And this is awesome, right? The other upside to doing this, if you have a code or if you have a tracking link, these companies can actually see that, yo, this dude sent me a ton of traffic. You can then go back to them and say, hey, would you be interested in sponsoring a video? At this point then, you could actually charge money. Or if it works for them, seriously, they're gonna come back to you and say, hey, would you like some more free product? We'd be happy to give it to you. And then you can say, nah, I would like some cash, please. But in terms of when and how, it's really a personal, individual thing. I don't know what the answer is. Really, it just kind of happened for me. And at first, it was all about the free product. I was loving getting free product. Now, you can keep your free product. I got more product than I know what to do with. Now, it's about paying my bills. And so it really boils down to you, your business, and the offers that you're getting and how you're going about and how you're monetizing your channel or your influence as it would be. And before we get into the next business question, I got to tell you about the recent video that we dropped at Tiege Hanley. It's all about how to choose the best deodorant for dudes. Gentlemen, if you want to check that video out, it will be listed and linked down below. Now, what I want to do is talk about another question that we got on 2 vlogs ago, and it's about money, as in how to start a business if you don't have much of it. So the question comes from our friend Gopala Guru. I'm sorry for butchering this. He says, what was the working capital when you started Pete and Pedro and Tiege? How did you build the initial capital? So Two different businesses, two different amounts of money required. When I started Pete and Pedro, it was literally for like $3,000. It was a little amount of money. I didn't need much. I was just trying to, order my initial product. I ordered like 5 different products. I ordered, I think, 196 units of each product. I had a website set up. It was very little money. And so I saved up for that. Tiege Hanley, on the other hand, was a different animal. Kelly was the one who put up the money for starting Tiege Hanley. He had put up money starting like Tiege Hanley version 1. He also then, and this is something that I didn't clarify 2 vlogs ago. 2 vlogs ago, I was talking about the dark days of Tiege Hanley and Alpha M. If you guys missed that video, I would definitely check it out. We'll probably link to it down below. Anyway, I talked about how Tiege Hanley was started by Rob and Kelly, and they started this different concept of Tiege Hanley, selling other people's products in a box to people, and it didn't really work. Well, Kelly had put up a bunch of money for that. It was already an entity. When we decided to actually do this again and join forces, include me, and with Rob, Kelly, and the chemist, and start a new Tiege Hanley, a new company, they ended up shutting down that business. And then we ended up starting a new company in order to basically distribute equity and get, the equity that everybody needed and all that good stuff. But with that, one of the things that Kelly was putting up was the money to actually start Tiege Hanley. And I believe he was committing to, I can't remember 100%, but I believe it was, I think it was like $150,000. I think that's what it was. Either $150 or $250. I can't remember off the top of my head. But Kelly brought the money to the table saying, hey, for our operating capital, I've got the money. This is what we're going to do. Now, the beautiful thing is that, Kelly was successful. He had a business, he had a career before, and so he did very well, and so he had this money to actually spend. Now, most people do not have $100,000, $200,000 in order to start a business. So what are you going to do? How are you going to do it? The first way, I would recommend you develop your operating capital to start a business, depending on the business, because that's the other thing. Depending on what you're doing, this is also going to dictate how much money you need to start the business, how much inventory you need, how much technology you need. With Tiege Hanley, we had a lot of product, we had a space, we had relatively not huge expense, but there was definitely expenses that we needed to. And then the beautiful thing with Tiege is that we just kept spending the money that we were making, putting it back into the company, and that's how we grew it. We have yet to raise any money. We have basically funded our growth, and we still maintain that we are, we are still profitable, very profitable, which is kind of rare. But back to what I was saying. If you are going to be starting a business, the one way that I would recommend is save up if you can. Now, if you need like hundreds of thousands of dollars and you're making $20,000 a year, chances of you saving up that amount of money, it's going to take you forever. And so it's probably not an option. But the reason why you raising your own money or saving your own money in order to start your business is the best way is that A, I think you're going to take it more seriously. B, you've got all of your equity. You don't have to give any of it away. And then you are responsible for your own, failure or success. I think when people raise a lot of money or get a lot of money through outside investors, you don't take it as serious oftentimes. Kevin O'Leary says that he doesn't like companies that have raised a lot of money because he feels that when companies are fat and sassy, right, they got lots of cash from like angel investors or venture capital money, they end up not taking it as seriously, they're not pinching the pennies as hard, and they end up wasting a lot of money because they've got it. But when you are responsible for the money that you're raising, you're really tight with that. You watch the pennies and you're very disciplined in how you spend it, or at least you should be. The second way that you can actually raise money to start your business is friends and family, right? You go to your friend, you go to your mom, you go to your dad and say, yo, I want to start this business. Would you be willing to lend me money? Now, unfortunately, this is a tough situation. Damon John on Shark Tank, he talks often about when he was starting the company FUBU, his mom was like, I'm going to go get a second mortgage out on my house or something like that. She borrowed money against her home in order to give her son a loan to start this business. And, obviously it was successful, but he had somebody in his corner that was willing to basically take a chance, a huge chance on, the idea or her son. And I love stories like that. Maybe you have people in your life that you could actually go to and ask for a loan, or you could ask them to be one of your investors. The second way that you could actually raise money is go to a bank, right? Go to a bank that you have a relationship with and say, hey, I'm looking for a small business loan, or I'm looking for a line of credit. A lot of people do fund their businesses also through credit cards, right? Now, this is something where if that's all you got, if that's the only way that you can do it, then that is an option, which is why it is critical for you to have good credit, all right? That's the one thing that you need to understand. In order for you to get money from people, regardless of if it's loans from friends or family or institutional money, you've got to make sure that your credit score and your credit is good. You've got to be credit worthy. And so if you're somebody who isn't paying their bills, or you've got high interest credit cards, you're just not paying, gentlemen, this is going to hurt you moving forward, because people are going to think that you're not going to repay them, because honestly, you're not. People are going to think, they're like, yo, if I lend him money, he's not going to pay me back because he's got a bad credit score. And that is the reason why having a good credit score is important. It lets other people know that you are credit worthy and that you're willing, or that they should be willing to actually take a chance on you, because chances are you're going to repay that loan. Now, banks, once again, we've talked in detail before about developing a relationship with your bank. If you are starting a business, right, go to your bank and say, hey, I'm going to be needing money. This is what I'm looking for. What do I need to do in order to get this loan? Oftentimes, the small community banks are going to be more apt to help a small business person, as opposed to a big bank like a Wachovia or SunTrust, a Bank of America. They have more regulations revolving around loans. You're more likely going to get, help from a small bank. And that's what I did. I went to a small community bank. It was a referral. This dude, I'm like, hey, I want to buy this building. I need a loan. I don't really have like a lot of pay stubs and stuff like that. And so what can we do? He took a chance. My accountant vouched for me, and I ended up getting a loan, paid it off, got another loan for another building, paid it off. And that is how I have been able to sort of extend or get more credit, is because you get some, you pay it off, you're going to get a little bit more. And so pay off your debt, form a relationship with a small bank. Another way to get money is angel investors. Angel investors typically are going to be money like under like $3 million, or typically it's like under $1 million, where they're people, they're networks that you can go to and say, this is my business, this is what I'm looking to do, and then you actually will get money from them, hopefully. But you're always typically going to need to have a track record. You're also going to need to have some type of business plan. And the last way you could raise money, like bigger money, if you're looking to like start like something really big, is venture money, where typically that's going to be like over $1 million, but it is going to be hard to get. The other thing you need to understand is angel and also venture money, you're typically going to have to give away a substantial amount of equity. Which brings us to the final question that I'm going to get to today from our friend Anthony Morin. He says, Aaron, I keep hearing equity mentioned on your videos and on Shark Tank. Can you explain a little bit about how equity works in the real world? What is it? Is it important in the business realm? Thank you. Basically, all equity means is ownership, right? So if you start a business, you start a whatever business it is, it doesn't matter, right? You start a business selling coffee, right? There's 100% equity or ownership. All equity really means is ownership. And so when you start it, you've got 100% of this coffee business. And then as you bring in investors, or as you add partners, sometimes you're going to give away equity. Equity just means ownership. So if you've got 100%, you're like, hey, for $10,000, I will give you 10% equity in this business. And so they give you $10,000. You then legally are going to give them a percentage ownership in this business. That's really all equity means, is its ownership. And the best idea is to try and hold on to as much ownership, as much equity of your business as possible. And that's the thing. Like if you watch Shark Tank, oftentimes you will see these entrepreneurs, and when they start talking to the sharks, they start asking, well, I'm giving away X percentage of equity for this much money. They'll end up getting around to the question, well, how much equity do you have, and have you raised additional money, and what valuation and all that. It's amazing to me how many people go into Shark Tank that have already given away a substantial amount of equity or ownership of their company. Now, why would somebody do that? The answer is pretty simple. They need money. And a lot of times when you're starting, people fall into the trap, if you don't have any resources or you don't have any options, of giving away more than you should or more than you need to, technically, because you are so desperate. When you are desperate, when you need the money in order to keep your doors open and keep things rolling, This is a position of weakness, and I don't want you to be there. Guys, it is better to be negotiating if you are in a power position or a position of strength. But if you're going to ask for money, right, and you're like a week away from shutting your doors, you're more willing to give away like everything. It's like, oh, you want 50% plus my kidney? Okay, fine, you'll do whatever you need to do. Do not get in that situation. And so one thing that I would recommend, if you are starting a business, a small business, and you can have a side hustle or another job while you're starting this other business, or this other business is your side hustle, you just want to make sure that you can pay your bills so that you don't get like super desperate. Whenever you're desperate for money, and I have been there a bunch of times in my previous businesses, you know, you end up giving away more than you should. And then after you sort of get things situated or settled, then you're like, crap, why did I give away 50%? Why did I give away this? Why did I give away that? It's better to be in a strong position. And so, you know, how you go about getting money and raising money, it really is going to be determined upon your resources, who you know, and, you know, what you end up ultimately doing. But if you can go to a bank to get money, they're not going to take equity in your business, right? They're just going to give you a loan. They're going to get interest. You're going to need to pay it back. But once you start going to investors, that's when you start having to give away equity, aka ownership of your business. Does that make sense? Am I all over the place? Is my 4 days of Mondays like interfering with my brain? I think it is. Gentlemen, that is where I am going to wrap things up. Why am I wrapping things up there? Because I'm tired. I had a crappy week. Tiege Hanley, however, had a good week. We are still sort of like coming off of our quarterly meeting. Lots of things going on, lots of balls being tossed in the air in order for people to juggle, and lots of strategy being discussed and lots of executional, you know, things that we need to figure out. And we are in the process of figuring them out. Lots of great things happening. Next week, I'm going to give you more of an update on Tiege Hanley specifically, some exciting things that we're doing, some exciting things that are going to be coming out, and some exciting things for you, the Tiege Hanley member. Guys, thank you so much for being a part of this. I love talking to you, and you have just made my fourth Monday a little bit easier. Seriously though, sometimes you just have bad days, and sometimes you have bad weeks. Guys, I want you to stay strong. If you have a business question down below, please start it with business question and ask it. Next week, we'll definitely get to some of yours. The questions can be anything. It can be anything like personal. It can be anything professional. It can be anything regarding your specific business. The whole reason we started this vlog was to help you and to be an asset to you on your entrepreneurial journey. But we can't help you if you don't ask your questions. Gentlemen, down below, business question, ask it. I already said this once again. Fourth Wednesday, see, I can't even, what day is it? I don't even know what day it is, but I do know that we love you more than our double monk strap shoes. That blah. Thank you for hanging out with us. Guys, we love you, and we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.